my dear students, I hope all of you are fit and fine. Today we will be revising the remaining chapters that are verbs, tense, subject-verb agreement. Okay, all types of tenses, I mean from chapter 13 or 14 to 18, I don't remember. Yes, from chapter 13 to 18 and along with that verbs and subject-verb agreement. Okay, before discussing English 1, I mean the grammar portion, I want to tell you, even after giving you, suggesting you for thousands of times, most of the students did not submit even the GK project. At least submit the project. You showed carelessness for the submission of GK worksheets, and now when I provided a GK project topic, even now you are not careful, you are not, you don't bother to submit that also. The date is already over and most of you are sending the things through email. Is it possible to read so many emails and to check things, to check so many projects from email? No, so I have decided, because most of the students watch the English 1 video and not the GK video, that's why I am telling this here, that tomorrow in the GK video, I will again repeat this, tomorrow in the GK study material I will provide the link again, and you are going to get more 4 to 5 days more to submit that project. After that I will turn off that accepting responses option. After that I will not accept any project, and you are not going to get any mark if you don't submit within the provided time. Okay, so now at first we will discuss the chapter verb. What is verb? As I said, another thing, if there is any student who missed the previous videos, I mean when I taught these things for the first time, I made videos on these chapters for the first time. If there is any student who missed those videos, at first watch those videos, then come to this video and watch this video, because in this video it is a revision video and I will mention only the important portions and everything will be very brief. I will not explain things in full details like the earlier classes, because this is revision class. So if there is anyone who missed the previous videos, go and watch those videos at first and then watch this video. So what is verb? Verb is one of 8 parts of speech and it indicates, it denotes action or state of being and possession. Now action, how action is denoted by verb? I play cricket. Here play, the word play denotes an action. I am Madhuparna. Here the word am is denoting the state, the being. Now I have a ball. Here the word have indicates the possession of ball by me. So in this way the verb can denote action, state of being and possession. Now verbs can be divided into so many categories. At first we will talk about transitive and intransitive and detransitive verb. What is transitive verb? The verbs which take an object. When you are provided a sentence and you find that in that particular sentence the verb is taking an object, that verb is called to be a transitive verb. And now how to find out the object? I hope you remember, in order to find out the subject, you need to frame questions with what or who before the verb in order to find out subject. And in order to find out object, you need to frame questions with what or whom, W-H-O-M, what or whom after the verb. This is written in your book. See here in page number 54, in the top of the page, you can see that. You can get that. So in order to find out the object, you need to frame a question with what or whom after the verb, and the answer is the object. Sometimes we get one object, sometimes we get more than one object. Okay, so the verbs which take object, those are called to be transitive verb, and the verbs which do not take any object, those are called to be intransitive verbs. And there are some verbs which take two objects. direct object and indirect object. What are those? When we put forward the question, when we frame the question with what, we get an answer, and generally that answer is a non-living thing and not a person. That's why we put forward a question with what. So that object is called to be direct object, and when the object, in order to find out the object, we need to put forward a question with whom. Generally we get a person as an answer. That is the indirect object. Okay, so which is not a person, which is the answer of what question, that is direct object, and with the object, that is the answer of whom question, and generally a person, that is the indirect object. And when we write down a sentence, we put indirect object before the direct object. That is mentioned, I guess. Yes, the indirect object always goes before the direct object. Not always. Like, I sent you a letter. I sent you a letter. I sent whom? You. So you is the indirect object. I sent you what? A letter. So a letter, this is the direct object. And you can see I sent you a letter. In this particular sentence, we have placed the indirect object at first, and then after that we have placed the direct object. But we can write this sentence in another way. We have already practiced that. What is that way? I sent a letter to you. When we place the direct object in the, before the indirect object, we need to put a to before that indirect object. I sent a letter to you. Things go in this way when we change the place. Okay. Now detransitive verb, I told you, I just gave an example of detransitive verb. I sent you a letter. Here you can find both the direct and indirect objects. I mean, two objects are there taken by this verb sent. So the verb sent here is detransitive verb. Okay, it is a detransitive verb because it is taking two objects. Kind of transitive verb, but as it is taking two objects, it has a different name, that is detransitive verb. But if you are given options like whether it is transitive or intransitive, then you can then you have to choose the option transitive because it is taking object. But if there is three options, transitive, intransitive and detransitive, which is the most appropriate option? Obviously detransitive because it is taking more than one verb, I mean two verbs. So then you have to choose the option detransitive. Okay. After that we will come to incomplete verbs or verbs of incomplete prediction. There are some verbs, which are those verbs which do not denote action or possession. See, but these verbs show neither action nor possession. The verbs are constant. Which are the verbs? Like the be verbs, is, am, are, was, were, shall be, will be. These are the verbs. And appear, seem, look. Memorize these verbs. Okay, I am explaining this again because things were a little bit confusing when I explained this thing for the first time. Then I rectified those things again, obviously. But again I am explaining this in details because some of you were really confused regarding this. So these verbs you need to memorize, the be verbs, and along with that appear, seem, look. In page number 55 in your book you can get this. These verbs you need to memorize. Only these verbs will be regarded as incomplete verbs. Why? Because these verbs, in order to complete the meaning, they don't take objects. They take some other words which are known as complement. Okay, those portion is not that portion is not known as object. That portion is known as complement. Generally adverb. Okay, generally adverbs, etc. So those verbs are called. You need to memorize these verbs. Only these verbs will be regarded as incomplete verbs, as they do not take object. Rather, they take some other words which are known as, which portion is known as complement, and these verbs are known as incomplete verbs or verbs of incomplete prediction. Now subjective complement and objective complement. when the complement is explaining the subject and qualifying the subject, it is obviously subjective complement, and when it is qualifying the object, it is obviously objective complement. The principal is busy. Obviously is a be verb, it is an incomplete verb. The principal is busy. In these sentences, the words printed in bold letters means the busy, those are complements. Obviously, the word busy tells something about the subject. Who is the subject in this sentence? The principal is busy. Who is busy? The principal is busy. In order to find out the subject, we need to put forward question with who or what before the verb. So who is busy? The principal is busy. And about the principal, we have used the word busy, so it is a subjective complement, and the objective complement works in the same way, but it tells something about the object. That's it. Okay? Suppose let me tell you. Suppose the principal made Topon captain. The principal made who captain? Made Topon. So Topon is the object, because we have put forward a question with whom after the verb, and the answer is Topon, which is an object. And about Topon, what is said in this sentence? Captain. So captain is a complement, and it is complementing the object Topon, so it is an objective complement. Okay? The homework section, in the study material, I have provided some questions. Go through those questions, solve those questions. I will discuss them in today's live class or in the next video after you solve them, or in today's live class also I can discuss them. That has not been decided yet by me. But at the same time, go through all the examples provided in your book and revise the worksheet that is provided in your book itself. All the worksheets provided in your book, those are really important, along with the homework and response sheet provided by me. Okay, now auxiliary verb and main verb. I hope you remember this portion. Main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Verbs can be divided into these two categories also. Auxiliary verbs are the verbs used with another verb. Another verb means used with main verb to make tenses, passive forms, etc. But at the same time, auxiliary verbs can be divided into two types: primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Which are the primary auxiliaries? Be verb, have verb, and do verb. Read the verbs under be verb, do verb, and have verb. Those can be used as main verb also, but the modal auxiliaries, they can never be used as the main verb. Okay. Primary auxiliaries, as for example am, which is a be verb. I am a girl. In this particular sentence, do you find any other verb except am? No. So in this particular sentence, I am a girl, am is the main verb. Am is a primary auxiliary verb which has been used as main verb. Again, in a sentence like I am playing cricket, in this particular sentence, am is the verb, a primary auxiliary, which is helping the play verb to be continuous tense, to get changed into continuous tense by making, we are using it as playing and putting am before that in order to make present continuous tense. So in this sentence, am is a helping verb placed with the main verb play, which has been used as playing. Okay. But modal auxiliaries, there are 11 modal auxiliaries like should, could, would, or to, used to, etc. Those can never be used as main verbs. Okay, those can never be used as main verbs. Those are always used as helping verbs. Now, finite verb and non-finite verbs. I explained this a little bit in the previous video when I taught it for the first time. A little bit extra from your book. Finite verb. Which are the finite verbs? The verbs in a sentence which can be changed, which generally change according to the number and person of the subject. I hope you remember number and person. I am not going to explain that again. According to the number and person of the subject, and also gets changed according to the tense. I mean changes its form according to the tense. But on the other hand, the non-finite verb, they do not get changed. Never ever. They never gets changed. get changed. Okay, suppose I like to eat chocolate. He likes to eat chocolate. See, in between these two sentences, what is the difference? When I am using I, first person singular number, the verb like is used as like. But when I am using he, a third person singular number, in place of I, it becomes likes. Right? So it gets changed. But to eat chocolate, it remains same. It doesn't change according to the number and person, etc. Now you may ask, I like to eat chocolate. If we place we like to eat chocolate. So means this is remaining same. We are putting another, we are putting a pronoun of plural form here, but this is remaining same. But no, you need to put other person, other number also, and then you need to check whether it is finite or not finite, whether it is getting changed or not. Okay, only one change. Suppose you are putting we in place of I, no, that doesn't work. If you put another thing, it gets changed. That does matter. Okay, that does matter. So if it gets changed in anything according to any person or any number, it is a finite verb. And based on this finite verb, the changes of finite verb, there are two other chapters. Not two other chapters. Actually, there are two other topics, I would say. Chapters are so many. Tenses and subject verb agreement. Now tense, okay, this video is going to be very long and I would discuss everything in this video because we never know which is going to be the last class. Okay, we should not just leave things for the last class. We will complete the things here, and if we get another class or more than one class, then that is very good. We will practice more. Okay, now tense. What is tense? Tense is the verb form. Obviously I discussed that, and I will discuss this very briefly because the previous video was really long and I discussed that in details. So watch that video and then watch this video. Okay, and if you can't complete this video before the live class, you are going to get the whole week. You are going to get chance to ask me about your queries on the next day also. So don't worry about that. Just watch the full video maybe today or maybe on another day. Now what is tense? Tense is obviously a verb form. It is denotes the time of action or state of being or possession, etc. What did I say? How many types of tense were there? 3 types: present, past and future. And each type of tense has 4 categories. But in your syllabus only 3 categories have been included. Okay? Each tense, suppose present tense, I am telling you the categories of present tense: simple present tense or present indefinite tense, present continuous tense, present perfect tense, present perfect continuous tense, and all the other tenses, I mean 2 other tenses, they follow the names in the same way. Okay, now what is simple present tense? You need to remember when each type of tense, when it is used, how it is used. Okay, that I am not revising again. Just go through your book, or I have explained these things in the previous video. You can watch that also and memorize things if you wish. The structure is important. Most important part is the structure, and obviously you need to remember when which tense is used. Okay, that I am not going to explain again, as I said. Read that from your book. I have already explained that in the previous video. In case of simple present tense, the structure is subject plus verb plus s or es in case of third person singular number. S or es is added to the verb in simple present tense when the subject is in third person singular number. Otherwise we do not need to add anything. Suppose I go to school. I is not a third person singular number, but if we use a third person singular number like she goes to school. It depends on the verb whether we need to take s or es. It depends on the spelling, nothing else. Okay, now okay, that's it, nothing else. The other things you need to check from your book. Now present continuous tense. What is the structure? Okay, before that I want to say, I forgot to mention it. I was going to mention it and then I got puzzled. In simple present tense or present indefinite tense, you need to memorize in each tense how to make the sentences negative, how to make them interrogative. Okay, I would suggest you about tense before watching this video. Everyone who has watched that previous video, you also go and watch that video again. It would be really helpful, I guess. If you could understand my words, I can't say that okay, you had to understand my words. If you had understood my words, then it would be very helpful for you watching that previous video. Okay, because here I am going to discuss this very briefly, otherwise this video would be carried on. Okay, how to make them negative? In case of simple present tense, we need helping verbs like do and does. In case of third person singular number, does is accepted. Like I like chocolate, I do not like chocolate. He likes chocolate, he does not like chocolate. Because in case of third person singular number, we need to add s or es to the verb, and when that s or es is added to the helping verb, when we are making it negative or interrogative, it is helping the main verb, no? So it is sucking the s or es from that verb. So the main verb doesn't need to carry it anymore. So he does not like to eat chocolate. It is no more likes. Okay, that's it. And similarly, you need to make it interrogative. Do I like chocolate? Does he like chocolate? Same thing. And if you want to put any WH word, it would be placed in the beginning. Okay? Why does he like chocolate? This question doesn't make any sense, right? Anyway, you need to place the WH word in the beginning. That's it. Now, what is the structure of present continuous tense? Subject plus am or is or are plus verb plus ing. Like I am going, you are going, he is going, and similarly to. But in this particular tense, except simple present tense and simple past tense, we do not need to invite any helping verb to make the sentences negative and interrogative. Here there is already a helping verb, like I am eating pizza. Am is the helping verb here, right? It is the main verb. So I am eating pizza, I am not eating pizza. And to make it interrogative, am I eating pizza? In this way it works. I am explaining the simple I will explain the present tense only. If you have any query, all the tenses work in the similar way, only different helping verbs, different structure. That's it. Go through them, and if you have any query, don't worry, I will discuss the things in the next video again. Okay, do let me know in which portions you are facing problems. I will discuss the things in the next video again. Now, what is the structure of present perfect tense? Subject plus has or have plus past participle form of the verb. I have done my duty. He has done his duty. Has, where do we place has? In case of third person singular number only, we use the helping verb has in present perfect tense. Other than that, everywhere we can use have. I have not done my duty. He has not done his duty. Has he done his duty? Why has he done his duty? Again, it doesn't make any sense. When has he done his duty? Okay, it does make sense. And in this way, we need to make it interrogative and negative. Now, oh no, present perfect continuous, no, it is not included in your syllabus. Sorry, I was going to explain that. Now, past, simple past tense or past indefinite tense. What is the structure? I think easiest structure, Subject plus past tense of the verb. You do not need to care. We don't need to bother about the person and number of the subject. Always it will take the past tense of the verb. I ate, he ate, you ate, any number, any subject, any person, it will take the past tense of the verb. Okay? But here in simple past tense again, in order to make the sentence negative and interrogative, we need to invite them interrogative and negative. Now I am telling this again that you need to memorize, you need to revise which tense is used in which purpose. I am not explaining all those detailed things again in this video. Watch the previous video or read your book. Don't skip the things. This video is very brief. You may feel like, okay, this is a long video, so everything has been explained. No, this is just a brief discussion. Okay, now past continuous tense. What is the structure? Subject plus was or were plus verb plus ing. I was singing, you were singing, they were singing. I was not singing. Already was is the helping verb, so we do not need to invite anything else. I was not singing. Was I singing? In this way it is made negative and interrogative. Again, past perfect continuous. No, sorry. Past perfect tense. Every time I am going to discuss the thing that is not included. Past perfect tense. Subject plus had plus past participle form of the verb. Okay, I had done my duty, he had done his duty. Because have and has, both these words have a singular past form, had. So in this case also you can use only you need to use only a singular form of verb, helping verb, that is had. Subject plus had, only had, plus past participle form of verb. In perfect tense, whether it is present or past, whatever, past participle tense of verb is common. Okay, you need to memorize that chart provided in your book. That is very important. Okay, for your future, for this upcoming examination, everything. This is just a tip. You need to memorize the whole chart very well. Now future indefinite tense. Subject plus shall or will plus the main form of the verb. I shall do it, he will do it. And here I told you that in previously we used to use shall after the first person singular and first person plural. But nowadays we can use will everywhere. Nowadays we can use will everywhere, but don't use shall everywhere. That is not correct. You can use will everywhere. Okay. And there is a going to form in order to show indication or intention. That is a really simple thing, very simple thing. Just go through that from your book. You will easily understand. And if you have any doubt, do let me know. That is not a problem. Now future perfect tense. Subject plus shall be or will be plus verb plus ing. I shall be doing it, he will be doing it, or we will be doing it. In this way, we will not be doing it, will we be doing it. In this way it is made negative and interrogative. And the last one, future perfect tense. Subject plus shall have or will have plus past participle form of verb. As I said, in perfect tenses, past participle form of verb is common. I shall have done my duty within 2 days. He will have done his duty within 3 days. In this way, he will not have done his duties. Will he have done his duties? In this way, when we are using he will, it will not take any more has. Okay, it will be have even after he, because will is already helping that verb. So he will have done his duty, not he will has. Remember this. Okay, very important. Don't get confused. That's it. We have discussed very briefly the tenses and other things. You go through the chapters very well. Don't depend on the videos only. Go through the chapters very well. Especially the revision videos. These are based on only the most important parts. I am saying this again and again. Okay. Just watching in, I will just watch it and I will just appear in the exam. Don't do that. I will not take any responsibility. Okay. I am warning you again and again. And now we are going to discuss the subject verb agreement, how the finite verbs change themselves according to the number and person of the subject. Wait a second. Okay. As I told you that here we will discuss how the finite verbs change themselves according to the number and person of the subject. Both the things matter. Okay. There are a few rules as we have already discussed. When two singular subjects are joined with and, like I and you, okay, it will take a plural verb because it is denoting two persons. Two different things, two different persons are, two different subjects are joined with the conjunction and, so it will take a plural verb. Okay, like Rekha and Madhu are sisters. He and I were present in the meeting, so it will take plural verb. But sometimes there are two subjects, actually not two subjects, there are two things connected with and, but actually they denote a single thing or a singular person. Then it will not take a plural verb. Suppose the poet and writer, the poet and singer Mr. Sahani will be present, is present. Will is confusing. You will not get whether I am using the plural form or singular form. In both cases we use will, so I will take the present tense. The poet and singer Mr. Sahani is present. Why? Because Mr. Sahani, for Mr. Sahani we have used these two things, poet and singer. These two things are actually denoting a single person, not two different persons. And how will you understand that? When the two things denote different persons, they take two different articles, not different, two articles, like the poet and the singer. No, then it will denote two different persons. But I am saying the poet and singer is present. The poet and singer. I am not taking another article for singer. So it is denoting, both the things are denoting a singular person, a single person. Okay, this is just a tip. And now when we use with as well as, when when the subject consists of two nouns or pronouns joined with or as well as, along with, together with, these can be there also. So with, as well as, along with, together with, these things, when they join two subjects together, what do? Actually the verb agrees with the first subject. In these cases the verb agrees with the first subject. Okay, I as well as you am present here. See, it is mentioned in page number 101. The captain with all the players is present. Okay, the verb agrees with the first subject. Which is the first subject? The captain, third person singular number, so it will take is, not are. But when, not only but also, either or, neither nor, these things are used. Either or, neither nor, not only but also, these things connect the two subjects or two nouns or pronouns. Then the verb agrees with the second subject. Neither the captain nor the players are interested in this. Neither the captain nor the players, which is the second subject here, the players, plural, third person plural. So are interested. Are, it will take are, because the verb agrees with second subject in case of not only but also, either or, neither nor. But in case of only either, neither, each, every, much, little, a little, we take singular subject. Singular verb. Okay, see, much, a little, these words, they take singular verb. There is a box also given in your book that is very beautiful. On the other hand, many, a few, several, both, these words when when these are used, they take plural verbs. And another thing I explained in the live class, when the word and is, there is an example that will be easier for you to understand, that will be helpful for you. Page number 102, exercise 2, last question, question number 8. Javed and not his friends dash to blame, is or are. You can see a negative word after and. Sometimes such examples are given, such questions are given. When and is followed by a negative word such as no, not, the verb agrees with the subject that is placed before the word and. See, Javed. Javed is the subject in this case with which the verb will agree. So it will take the verb is. Javed and not his friends is to blame. Okay? That's it. Nothing else. If you have anything to ask, I hope I hope you will watch the whole video. Maybe not before the live class, after the live class. And if you have any query, don't worry. You may ask me today or on the next day also. Okay? And the answers of the homework section that I will discuss maybe in today's live class if I get time after clarifying your doubts, or in the next video. Okay? For now, bye bye.